Has your business been affected by COVID-19? The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center is available to assist entrepreneurs and small businesses in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The VI SBDC is sustained by the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration and collaborates with local agencies to support the small business community. The VI SBDC is nationally accredited and provides free consulting, business education training, and technical assistance. Attend workshops with subject matter experts from both the public and private sector. From idea generation to exit strategies, the staff at the VI SBDC is ready to assist you. Now is the time to contact them, so don't wait. Call or email them to find out how they can help your business grow and succeed.
Good evening and welcome to our Thursday evening webinar. My name is Mary Jo Williams. I am the Network Training Coordinator at the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, and I'll be your facilitator and moderator for today's session. SCORE USVI, the newest resource for small businesses in the USVI. Today's session is being recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube and our Facebook channel later at VI SBDC. Our presenter for this evening is Steve Clayton. Steve Clayton is a certified business mentor with SCORE, an affiliate of the Small Business Administration. SCORE is a nonprofit organization and it's dedicated to helping small businesses get off the ground, grow, and achieve their goals through education and mentorship. Steve is a former executive with Citibank in the US and Latin America with over 35 years in financial services. Steve is an expert in financial analysis, regulatory compliance, risk management, and the design and implementation of technological solutions to complex problems. Steve holds a BS in Business Administration from Indiana University and an MS in Systems Management from the University of Southern California. For today's session, please put your questions in the chat and they'll be answered at the end of the presentation. We will also send out a copy of the presentation via email to all of today's participants. We will also, during the course of the presentation, have a few poll questions that we would like for you to answer to give Mr. Clayton a good idea of who's attending the webinar today. Without any further delay, I present to you Mr. Steve Clayton. Steve, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mary Jo. What I wanted to do this evening was to introduce everybody to SCORE. Some of you may already be familiar with SCORE. You have used SCORE services in the past. SCORE was founded in 1964 as an affiliate of the Small Business Administration. Initially, SCORE was called the Service Corps of Retired Executives because that's what it was. It was a group of people who had all worked in the business world but had retired and were looking for something to do to assist others. About 25 years ago, the Service Corps of Retired Executives name, if you will, got dropped. The acronym remained. And the reason it got dropped is at that point in time, and it persists today, probably half of our volunteers are active business people. They either own their own business, work for a small business, or in some cases are independent professionals or work in some corporate job. But they're willing to volunteer their time because we are all volunteers. And there, as the slide indicates, there are over 10,000 volunteers that are part of over 340 chapters of SCORE. Our chapter is not here in the territory, it's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're a branch of the Fort Lauderdale, Florida chapter of SCORE. That chapter has, any given point in time, around 70 mentors that work with clients. Each of those 70 mentors has some particular skill, either a broad-based skill or a narrow-focused skill. SCORE mentors are accountants, attorneys, IT specialists, human resource specialists, finance specialists, marketing specialists, you name it. And a number of them are people kind of like me. I have some specialties, but I also have worked in small business, started with my family's business when I was a kid, had my own business for a number of years a good time ago, but then I also worked in the corporate world. But most recently, I worked for a small bank in South Carolina. And after I left that bank, I worked with a young couple who wanted to start a brand new business. And I wound up managing it for them. And it was a specialty retail store on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. So in that process, I did, you name it, I did it. I found the space, I negotiated the lease, I got the store stocked, I got it up and running, interfaced with all of the local business organizations to make sure, we had a good, solid, opening, both our soft opening, our grand opening. So I understand a little bit about most businesses that are out there, in some cases a lot. So that's why I thought I could bring a lot to SCORE, which I joined 7 years ago and brought with me when I came to the Virgin Islands a year and a half ago. SCORE's mission is really quite simple. It's to help entrepreneurs and business people start, develop, and grow small business. Not to say that we haven't mentored larger businesses, we certainly have, but the bulk of SCORE's clients are small business people who are either thinking about starting a business, in the process of starting a business. They've already started and it's maybe a year or two along and they're looking for some help. So one of the things we'd like to know, and if you see the poll question there, is whether you've heard of us before.
We'll give you guys another 5 seconds to answer the question. And we will end the poll now and share the results. Wow, 58% of the people have heard of SCORE before.
Well, I think both those numbers are good. I'm glad to hear a lot of people have. I'm also glad to hear, quite a few people haven't, because this is your opportunity this evening to learn a bit more about SCORE. The reason why, you might ask, why the focus on small business? Why not big business? Well, big business can afford, $1,000 an hour consultants. We can provide that level of expertise for free. If I didn't mention it before, I'll probably mention it 3 or 4 more times, that SCORE is a free service to our clients. We charge nothing for the advice and mentoring that we do provide a business. And the reason why the focus on small business is, if you do the census taking and you discover how many people are employed in small, medium, and large businesses, the largest group are those that are employed by small businesses. Small businesses are the lifeblood of most communities, some more so than others. Tends to trend that the smaller the community, the more important small business is to that community. So that's why we focus not exclusively, but almost exclusively on the small business community and all the markets that we serve. What do we do? Well, what we're doing right now is part of what we do. We conduct a lot of workshops and webinars. Expositions are kind of, got crimped a bit the last year and a half because of COVID. You might know, and I'll talk about it might want to know, and I'll talk about it in a minute, that the number of webinars that we're able to offer and the subjects that we offer are considerable. We offer a webinar almost every evening of the week. We do about, in total, probably 250 in any given year, almost all in the evening. If you could answer this poll question while I'm nattering on here, what I'm interested in understanding now, as I know a bunch of you have heard of SCORE, are there any of you who have actually engaged a SCORE mentor before or used our services? You don't necessarily have to engage a mentor in order to participate or take one of our courses or listen to one of our webinars. Good, that's even better. I'm glad to hear that somebody has, but even happier to know that most of you haven't. This will be your opportunity. Though we do a substantial number of webinars and in normal times, a lot of in-person workshops, expositions where we participate with other organizations in an outreach to the business community, the most important thing we do is our individual mentoring and counseling. Normally, it would be done face-to-face, maybe sometimes by video conference. These days, the bulk of it is by video conference, phone, email. I'm here on St. Thomas. I do offer myself up for face-to-face mentoring for those people that are willing to do so, and I have for a while. We're here to be flexible in addition to being helpful and informative. Curious where you all reside: St. Croix, St. John, St. Thomas, Water Island, Puerto Rico, none of the above. So if you could check, we'd like to understand where everybody is. Okay, glad to see somebody not in the territory, but also glad to see some representation on St. Croix. We did this morning, and it was interesting this morning in that of those in the territory, it was about 50-50 St. Thomas, St. Croix. So this evening, it looks like more of you are on St. Thomas. Why do we offer the services that we do? Well, the one thing that we discovered in the initial research and the ongoing research bears it out is everybody thinks that it's difficult to start a business. It really isn't, depending on the type of business. What's harder is staying in business. I think we've all seen, if we've lived here for a while or almost any place that you've lived, you see retail businesses particularly that will open. They'll be open for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. And then the next time you drive by, it's closed. And a couple of months later, there's a new sign up for a new business. What we help people do is stay in business, not just getting up and going, but developing a business plan and a focus and executing on that plan and that focus to make sure that they stay in business, because that's the real challenge. I think most of you have probably seen a statistic or a pie chart that looks something like this. This one, the data happened to show 51% successful after 5 years, meaning still in business, 49% having failed. This has trended probably over the last few decades, being pretty similar, that about half of all businesses that start, of all new businesses, 5 years later, they're not there anymore. The one thing that we think is important in terms of businesses that we counsel, that we mentor, is that after 1 year consulting with SCORE, they're still in operation. If about 5% of them haven't, but 95% still remain in operation after a year. And I should mention, this includes startups, this includes businesses that have, been up for a while. Typically, the bulk of our clients have, if they are in business, they've been in business no more than a year or two. They've kind of got to that stage where they got started and, oh boy, this is harder than I thought it was going to be, and I need help. One thing I'd like to know from those of you that are on the call is for those of you that aren't currently in business, are you thinking about starting a business? Maybe you know what it's going to be. Maybe you don't know what you want to do. All you know is you want to be your own boss.
Okay, that poll is looking pretty good, and we're going to close it in 3 seconds.
Okay. Wow. That's encouraging. I'm glad to hear so many people on the call are really thinking about it. Thinking is the hard part. I shouldn't say that. Thinking is easy comparing to deciding. You think about, gosh, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? But getting to that point to where you say, okay, I know what I want to do.
And that number was 80% of the people are thinking about starting a business.
Right. Even though we're talking about SCORE tonight, hopefully all of you know that SBDC is here to help too. And SBA, when it comes to providing financing for small business, is for sure for the last year and a half or so has been the largest lender to small business in the whole country. But both SCORE and SBDC can help you in many ways. Going through the think stage, what kinds of businesses are attractive, what kinds of business, and it depends on what you want that business to be. Are you providing some type of a service? Are you selling a product? Are you thinking about something that would be a small manufacturing business? Whatever it may be. We can help make those kinds of decisions as well. Our mentoring is, as I mentioned, is almost always a one-on-one session. I will say there are a lot of instances that are 2-on-1 or 3-on-1. I've been involved in ones that were 6-on-1, where a team of 6 mentors work together with a business, but more often than not, it's 1 or 2. I mentioned the group of people that are in Florida that I'm associated with. Those 70 people have a lot of expertise in areas I don't. If you, for instance, are looking for someone that, or you're looking, as I have one client on St. Croix is doing right now, looking to start a nonprofit. I'm not particularly expert in nonprofits. I do have someone in, well, more than one person in Florida who can help in that regard. So in the particular instance of our client on St. Croix, we're both helping out. The pure, gee, how do I get a nonprofit up and running? How do I get all the approvals that I need so that I can be a legitimate nonprofit? Those are the kinds of questions that we can answer for you and make sure that you don't waste any of your time. Our time is free, so you can waste as much of our time as you'd like. We can provide the general information that I talked about before. One of the more general ways that we help for brand new businesses is crafting a business plan. Once you've formulated the idea of the type of business that you want to be in, we can help you create different kinds of business plans depending on who the audience is. Quite often, if you are looking for bank financing or for individual investors to invest in your business, or any number of other ways, even if you're applying in some cases for grants or other types of capital raising, you will need to prepare a convincing argument that your business is going to be a good one. You understand the business, you understand your product, you understand your market, you understand how to promote your product in your particular market. Those are all things we can help in, particularly with the way you structure your business and design your business plan. Probably the most time that we spend with most businesses is brainstorming. From the, gosh, who do we want to be? Who is this business going to be? How do we fit into this community? Even down to things, believe it or not, and it's something that requires a lot of thought. One of the toughest things to do is, what do I call my business? Now, if it's a professional service, that tends to be quite easy. If you're offering a professional service, like as an accounting service or a bookkeeping service or something, usually that winds up being a lot simpler. But if you're offering, for instance, I have a client right now who is creating what will essentially be a technology company. What to call it? Well, Apple Computer is not a good idea because somebody already has that name. And so we help you make sure that when you do choose your name, that you don't infringe on somebody else's intellectual property, i.e. the name of their business. And that's one that a lot of businesses forget about, or not that they forgot about it, they didn't know they should think about it. So that's one area we certainly can help. Most of our sessions are going to last about an hour, but I will tell you our brainstorming sessions can last quite a while. My time is your time. I meet with people. Some of the businesses that I've been meeting with for a while, I usually have a set meeting each week. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't, or every other week. But we meet as frequently as is needed. And you will get as Mary Jo mentioned, you'll get a copy of this slide presentation. I will click on this particular link right there, and that'll take us to the SCORE Virgin Islands webpage. When you get your, excuse me, when you get your copy of the slide deck, when you go to this particular page, if you wish to find a mentor or request a meeting, these are the links that you click on to do so. It will allow you to get, if you will, registered in our system and to formally request a mentor. But as I indicated, we're more than mentoring. If you want to take one of our workshops, which you do not need to register for a mentor to do, you can click on the workshop link. It will take you to our whole library of available webinars, including the ones that are upcoming. I'll talk about those a little later, but also a significant number of them are pre-recorded if you want to watch. Another thing you can do is we have a substantial library with a lot of business templates, guides, what if type issues. What should I, one thing that people sometimes overlook, depending upon how big their business is going to be, is, do I have to have an employee handbook? Do I have to have policies, written policies, that if I'm going to hire people, I need to put down in paper how it is I will conduct my relationship with those that are my employees. The other thing you can do, and I'll put in a plug for it, is to become a SCORE volunteer. There's no particular prerequisite to be a volunteer other than to have some business expertise and a willingness to volunteer your time. How much time? I found out over the years, I probably spend, when I'm active mentoring, I probably spend 3 to 5 hours a week. It's not a huge time commitment on my part. You can spend as much time as you want. However, you can become involved in the administration of the chapter and a number of other things. For instance, conducting webinars that will take more of your time, but also allow you more time to give. Again, the link to the Virgin Islands branch will be in the slide deck. On your own, if you wish, if you just go to www.score.org, that is SCORE National. There is a huge, and when I say huge, I probably have looked at 2 or 3% of it over the last 6 or 7 years. There's a gigantic library of information that's available to help you no matter what your business needs might be. I talked about our webinars before. Broadly speaking, the webinars that will be available to you from our Florida operation revolve around about 30 different business topics. As I indicated, they're usually about 250 a year. And if you do the math, you'll know that that means almost every evening, most evenings, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, Saturday mornings occasionally, sometimes in midday, there will be a webinar. All of those webinars are live. Nothing's pre-recorded except for maybe a brief presentation so that you can ask live questions of a live presenter. It's not just like you tuned in on some recording online. And they're on any number of subjects, probably 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 of those webinars is conducted in Spanish. So if you prefer to engage in a conversation on a webinar that's in Spanish, that certainly will be made available to you as well. As I indicated, it's not just individual mentoring and workshops and webinars, it's a lot of other things that involve what we do in SCORE. Two of the things that we have been involved in quite heavily the last few years are focusing on women-owned businesses. For what it's worth, you should know that the majority of clients that we mentor are women-owned businesses. My experience when I was in South Carolina, almost 2/3 of the businesses that we mentored were owned by women. We also mentor a significant number, and we have a significant outreach to military veterans. There are lots of programs that are available specifically for veterans. We've got a big outreach program from all aspects of SCORE. And as I indicated, there are lots of other things too. I could probably spend the next half hour just going through the different aspects of what's available to you, not necessarily as a client. Anybody can take advantage of these without registering and being mentoring. Here, again, here's how you'll be able to contact us. The first way is through the SCORE Virgin Islands website. Second way, well, I have a better probably email address for you relatively soon, as the phone number, which you see is a Florida phone number. I'd hope to have a Virgin Islands phone number available, but it's gotten delayed for some reason I don't understand. But we'll provide you with an update to both these as to how to contact us via email and via phone. Both of those are in operation. You certainly can use that email address and that phone number to contact us. But probably the easiest way, especially if you're interested in requesting a mentor, is go to the SCORE.org USVI branch website, request a mentor. If you wish, you can request somebody other than myself. You know, I'm the only active mentor right now here in the Virgin Islands. There are a number in Florida that are perfectly willing to mentor and to provide their mentoring on a virtual basis, either by phone, by Zoom call, however works best for you. That's all I had as a prepared presentation. I was hoping that we could get some questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. If you want to come online, I will, or one of us, I'll stop sharing my screen. So if anybody wants to raise their hand, ask a question, it's quite okay to post it in the chat, and I'll answer it. If you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself too.
Okay, you said that, this is Mary Jo, that you would also work with nonprofits as well as for-profits?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, I'm already doing that here with a nonprofit on St. Croix that's in a startup right now. I do have, for those that need legal advice, there is a law firm here on St. Thomas that I've engaged who can, most of the law firms that I work with will provide sort of an initial free consultation, if you will, just if nothing else, to find out, where you are in terms of thinking and planning, and what you need to do as kind of next steps, and they can guide you. But, most law firms that do that, that initial consultation is gratis. Anything after that, not free, but that's their choice. We also have a law firm in South Carolina that we've worked with that help people who are concerned about the intellectual property issues. What do I call my new company? If I create a brand, what's that brand? Am I infringing on somebody else's name, somebody else's brand? Those are the kind of things they can help out on. But, we can point you in a bunch of different directions, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit.
Okay, we have a question. What types of businesses do these mentors come from?
You name it. As Mary Jo indicated, most of my background was in banking, but I can guarantee you, name a business type, and I can find you a mentor who has significant expertise in that business, been there, done that, maybe had their, either worked in a somewhat larger business that you're thinking about, or, had their own business that's just like the one, or maybe even today still have it. Again, I'll repeat what I said before, probably 30 to 35% of our mentors are not somebody that looks like me. There's somebody who is actively running a business, operating in the business world. I happen to be semi-retired. This is all I do. I don't earn a paycheck anymore. I used to up until about a year and a half or two ago, and I decided enough was enough. But no, I mean, whatever expertise you need, again, no matter what it may be, we'll help you find somebody. If it's not me, we'll certainly will help you find somebody who can provide that help. And I should say, I don't think I mentioned it, the first go-to group of people are the folks that are with SCORE Broward in Florida. The next group of people are the other 10 or 11,000 that are all over the country. I've engaged mentors. I'll give you a simple example. One of my clients in South Carolina was creating what was a unique product that would be a aftermarket attachment to pickup trucks. Well, I know a lot about cars and trucks, but what I didn't know very much about is how you market something like that. So we got on the phone to our Detroit chapter because we figured they probably knew, and they probably mentored a lot of aftermarket parts manufacturers for the automotive industry. We found somebody who not only was a consultant to the automotive industry, but had worked for one of the big three auto manufacturers. So wow, we found what probably would have been, $25,000 or $50,000 worth of consulting cost for free for that particular client. He wound up patenting it and licensing it. And the last I heard, I think he bought a big boat and a vacation home, and because he wound up not having to make the part himself. He just licensed it because he patented it. He did all the right things in terms of protecting his intellectual property. And now he's a very rich guy. So those things can happen, small business. And that was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Anyway, we can find you the expertise you need if it's not resident in this brain or in any of my friends that are in Florida.
Okay, Ms. Donna Lee has a question. Ms.
Sure.
Donna Lee, you can unmute your mic.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Mary Jo, and thank you, Mr. Clayton. I got really excited when I saw that there was a SCORE branch coming to the Virgin Islands, or is now here. My question had to do with, so I'm excited about that possibility. I certainly would love to use the services. I'm on the website and I don't know where you would list businesses that are providing services, executive coaching, leadership training and development, that type of industry.
Sure.
Because I don't quite see something to check.
Well, that's where part of what you see is probably we're probably a victim of technology, meaning that when we set up profiles, list of profiles, it probably doesn't include that. But that's not to say that there aren't people who can provide that expertise. I certainly can, I certainly can find someone that I guarantee you could provide that kind of expertise.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I will sign up on the website. Thank you.
Perfect.
Much
Thank
appreciated.
you.
Okay. There's a question. Will you be adding all of the Virgin Islands postal codes to the National Registry so that when someone enters the code in search, the VI will pop up?
It should. I mean, that's, we're still, unfortunately, the website is still kind of a work in progress. It was up until a few weeks ago. If you went to the USVI branch website, it took you straight to SCORE Broward. It didn't say anything about the Virgin Islands. So it's coming slowly, too slowly for me. But the answer is yes. We'll make sure that we've got all of our zip codes here so that when you pop in your zip code, it'll take you right to where you should go. We're not there yet. Sorry about that, but we will be.
This is a good question. What are some of the benefits for veterans?
Well, the primary, SCORE per se doesn't have any, I'll call it a benefit for veteran. What we do is we help veterans find opportunities. I'll give you an example. Veterans are given extra preference when competing for government contracts, for instance. I know that, that's an ongoing issue here in the territory, an ongoing issue meaning there are always government contracts that are being let. Well, if I'm a veteran, how do I take advantage of those? How do I get my name in front of, the right people? Are there grants that are available to veteran-owned businesses? How do I get those? Who do I see? What agencies do I talk to? Those are the opportunities that because I would tell you, I'm a veteran myself. I have almost no clue of what I did take advantage of in my education. The VA paid for a big chunk of my college. That was a good thing for me, and a lot of small business owners that I have helped have gotten some different kinds of benefits, usually contracting. Where I came from in South Carolina, we had a lot of military around us, so a lot of government contracting and a lot of businesses created almost exclusively to compete for government contracts. That's one big example. There are others, but that's really how we can help, is just find things. As I mentioned in our session this morning, I'm really good at research. I'm really good at finding stuff out, stuff that isn't obvious, stuff that you can't just find by going to Google. And that's a big way that we can help. Plus which, again, the team that I've got isn't just the group in Florida and the other mentors. There's a permanent staff in Washington with SCORE that I can go to different specialty groups, including the group that's dedicated strictly and exclusively for veterans outreach.
All right, great, thank you. Another question. Can you provide a specific example of a VI success story? Many times we hear about successes of such programs. However, they are usually outside of our community and or business culture.
Well, I've been mentoring businesses here. I guess the first client that I started working with was almost exactly a year ago. That business is, here's the other thing, which I should have mentioned from the get-go. All of our relationship with our clients are confidential unless a client specifically releases us to provide information about that client. So I can't give you any names. I can talk generically about a couple. One of them is a technology company. That's about all I can say, because if I say more about it, you might be able to figure out who it is, and that would violate that confidence. It is a startup that is probably, this is a guess on my part, about 85 or 90% of the way there to launching a product which could be somewhat revolutionary. The only thing I'll say about it is it's a product that's designed to work on smartphones, and it will be a subscription product, so people will have to pay. But it's also a product that had been in development for 2 years before I got engaged. So there's a case of, in that particular industry, there's a very long lead time from the time, hey, I've got an idea for, a cool smartphone app. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, but I kind of sort of think I know what it's going to do. I will tell you that if this one is successful, I won't have to tell you about it because it'll be probably splashed all over the news here. I've also got another client who is, I want to say, opening in a couple of weeks. And all I can say is it's a retail food store here on St. Thomas. I mentioned the nonprofit on St. Croix. It's beginning to function. It doesn't have all of its full approvals yet. Once it does get those, which it should get probably within a month or two, it'll be up and running. I will also tell you, as is typical, that of the dozen or so clients that have asked for a mentor that I've become involved with, 3 of them have decided, you know what, maybe I'm not ready. I'm not saying never, I'm just saying maybe not right now. And that, honestly, that's a good thing. I don't view somebody who comes to me and asks for help and we wind up, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months later saying, you know what, time out. This isn't a good time to do it. I had to, especially last year, there were a couple, 3 of those people that we just decided, you know what, let's hit the pause button because of COVID. It's a little scary. So maybe now is not the right time, especially if you're betting, as the old cliche, betting the ranch. If in order to make this happen, you're going to put a second mortgage on your home, you're going to have to quit your day job. That's a big commitment. And to make that kind of a commitment when we're in the middle of a crisis, not a great idea. So in a couple of instances, we decided to, now those aren't never situations, they're just not now situations. So it's been a mix so far. but there's, well, especially given the time frame of what we all had to go through, starting, March of last year. It's been stressful for us all, that's for sure. So, I can't, again, even if one of them was, doing swimmingly well, I couldn't mention it without them saying it's okay for me to mention.
What kind of services did you provide for them? Marketing, mentorship, business plan restructuring, financial analysis of product and services for revenue growth, et cetera?
That and more. For the startups, the biggest, I would say if it's a startup, probably the most time is invested in the actual business plan. Because a successful finished business plan presumes you know what you want to do, you know where you want to do it, you know who your target market is. And you have a fairly clear idea about what's all this going to cost. And more importantly, if I'm able to do what I want to do, and I can charge what I want to charge, that's assuming you're a for-profit, here's how much money, here's how much revenue I think I'm going to generate to cover all those expenses that I know I'm going to have. And is it going to be enough? Do I have enough resources? Do I have enough capital? Whether it's, the kind of the food chain of capital is kind of starts out with, whatever you've got in your wallet, so to speak. In your wallet includes credit cards, personal lines of credit, friends and family, bank, non-traditional sources of lending. There are a lot of online sources of lending that are out there that didn't used to be. And banks, they're the more traditional sources, although, there really are almost no banks, for certain there are none here in the territory, that will lend to a pure startup. You have to have some kind of a track record with your business before, they're willing to provide any sort of capital. That's not to say that there aren't places like that available. They're just not physically here right now. All those aspects of starting a business are something that we make available. And a lot of it, now I should say this, and if I didn't mention it before, there's a qualitative difference between mentoring and counseling or consulting. Mentoring is, think of me as Uncle Steve. I'm here to help. I'm here to provide advice because I've kind of been there, done that. I'm not going to write your business plan. I'm not going to prepare your financial analysis. I'll help push you in the right direction. I'll provide you templates of quality business plans, templates that are kind of fill in the blank Excel spreadsheets of preparing financial projections. That's the difference between a mentor, let's say, and a consultant. A consultant will take in information from you. They'll prepare all that information. They'll deliver it to you. And then you get a bill for a few $1,000s for preparing your business plan and your financials with no guarantees. We don't provide guarantees either, but then we don't charge. And I will say, I think I mentioned it on the group we had this morning. I was involved and have been involved in one quite large business that they got to be known to score early on in their development. It was a pizza place, but it wasn't a startup pizza place. It was a businessman had moved to a new community. He always wanted to have a pizza shop, so he bought one. And he very quickly realized that probably wasn't a great idea, even though, who's ever heard of a pizza place failing, but he wanted it to be the best pizza place in that particular market. Fast forward 15 years, well, actually 17 years now, and he owns 15 restaurants and he employs 3,500 people. SCORE is still mentoring with a group of people. He has a group of 6 people that provide him ongoing mentoring advice. And so, you know, it can be, like I said, it can be, you know, part of the essence of SCORE is that it's not just about helping you get up and running. It's about helping you be successful, helping you grow, helping you be that business that creates something so unique that the world beats its path to your door, and you know, you become wealthy. That's not, that shouldn't necessarily be everybody's goal in life, but occasionally when life presents you with the opportunities and you seize upon them, that's the end result. And some of our clients have achieved that in a very large way. Do we have any more? I don't see any more questions out there.
Ms. Donnelly, do you have your hand up for another question?
No, I lowered my hand. Thank you.
Okay, great.
The one thing that I'd like to do, just as kind of a final sales pitch, if you will, is it's Thursday night tonight, and for the remaining 4 Thursdays in September, there is a program which SCORE has developed over a number of years, which is quite extensive and very thorough. It's so thorough that it takes a total of 4 different sessions. So every remaining Thursday night in September from 6 until 8 p.m., we will be offering, and if you go to the chat box, you'll see a link which will take you to a website where you can register for it. It's something we call Simple Steps for Starting Your Business. There are 5 different modules in this program. Again, 4 different sessions, 2 hours each from 6 until 8 p.m. every Thursday night from now till the end of September. This is a great program for those of you who are thinking about starting a business, in the process of starting a business, or maybe you've been in business a couple of years. It's extremely thorough to the point there's a workbook, there's homework that you'll have to prepare. You will learn about a business that's a mythical business that you'll see talked about as it goes from startup to success, you know, over the next few weeks. I would encourage, again, free, no cost to participate in a program like this that probably would have cost you a few $100s if you would go to an educational company or a consulting firm. After you complete, presuming you complete those, and I would again encourage you to do so, in October, November, and December, we have some follow-on, very specific programs that we're offering again through the SCORE Broward operation. The first one in October is how to use social media to promote your business. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. How do you use those to promote whatever your business might be? In November, a program that I'm actually going to participate in myself, just as a participant, that's called What's Going to Be Hot in 2022. It's a look forward to next year to say, given everything that's happened the last year and a half because of COVID and the way it's affected all businesses, what businesses will be those who are probably most likely to see the most success in 2022? That should be an interesting program. And then finally in December, one that I've participated in a number of times with Google people and with Google contractors is a program on how to use Google's tools for small business. For those of you who have a business that you think would benefit from using what Google has available, and most of us really don't know what tools the Google has available to them until you actually get engaged in one of their programs and find out how broad they are and how important they are. again, we offer those kinds of tools too. So anyway, I would encourage you to click on the SCORE Broward link that you see in the chat box to copy it, paste it in your web browser, go to the website, register. Again, you don't have to ask for a mentor in order to participate in any of these. I would encourage you to do so, even if you don't think at this point, you really need somebody to mentor you in your decisioning. And that's pretty much it, unless anybody else has a question. I am, as I say affectionately, out of ammo.
Do we have any more questions for Steve? You can unmute your mic or you can raise your hand. All right. Well, Steve did a good promotion of the upcoming SCORE sessions, the oncoming Thursdays. And for those of you that follow SBDC on a regular basis, next week, Tuesday, we will continue with our Tuesday webinars with SBA, and they will be presenting on a new topic. And then on the 16th of September, we have the Economic Development Commission's eligible supplier program. So if you don't qualify as an Economic Development Commission beneficiary, maybe you can be a supplier for some of those beneficiaries in terms of products and services. So Steve, we want to thank you for your presentation this evening. Coming out in the evening, that's definitely a plus. One question, can you request more than one mentor?
Absolutely. Yeah, there, as I mentioned, almost all of us have some area of expertise that's much deeper than other. And if you engage me as a mentor and you need somebody to help you who's a human resource expert or who's an IT expert, I know enough technology to get my home system set up, and beyond that, that's about it. So if it's something much more complex, we certainly have people like that in our chapter who can help. Like I said before, in a group of, actually it's up to 90 individuals, I'm sure that there's somebody who has a particular expertise who can supplement whatever help I may be able to provide.
Okay, cool. Any more questions?
Well, I'd like to say thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you to SBDC for hosting this. We appreciate your help and ongoing promotion. And we look forward to working with everybody in the future.
All right. So on behalf of the SBDC and SCORE, we want to thank you all for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.